What's going on, YouTube? This is your melanated warrior, HERU HAINUS, and this is another installment of Facts Over Feelings. Leave your feelings at the door so we can get to the facts. And I need you guys to share this video with as many people as possible, because what we're going to do, one of the things that I hate, as like I said, is we surveying or we are navigating through those tumultuous and very volatile conscious waters. What we find out is that what I get out of it, and I'm pretty sure you probably got this too, is that it seems much more like fear-mongering than anything else. You're saying, go get water, stock up on this, Kangas, but then there doesn't seem to be any, it seems fleeting, because we know eventually if we don't have the knowledge to sustain ourselves, then we know panic is going to set in, because we know eventually those things, those resources will run out, right? So what do we have to have around us that we can put in here that would help us to provide the security for ourselves and our family? I'm glad you asked. So let's get right into it, because, salutations to all you melanated gods and goddesses, but this is information that you're definitely going to need. What are the 3 books that you need to have during the apocalypse, before the apocalypse hits? The first book, because we're going to get right into it, it's called The Water Freedom System. Did you hear me, brothers and sisters? It's called the Water Freedom System. Now, you can order for around $47. They have different packages, and I would suggest, I spent about $100. I ain't even gonna lie. I spent about $100 because I wanted to know everything I need to know about solar panels, geothermal techniques, building your own greenhouse, how to build your own filters, because that chemistry comes into play with sand and charcoal and all of that different stuff. All right, we getting into that chemistry. All right, and there's a lot of other books that I know that you'll be highly interested in, but the Water Freedom System, what it details is it gives you instructions on how to build, and I think that the parts cost about less than $200 at a hardware store. And this apparatus that you build should be able to draw out between 50 to 100 gallons of water a day, because remember, the system is here to pump scarcity. What you gonna do when the water run out? We've already determined water is in the air. What other device in your home that you probably have in your home already that works or operates off that principle? It's called a dehumidifier. It snatches water out of the air. Now, if your filter is pretty decent, it's actually drinkable. But if you, have any doubts about it, of course, get some iodine tablets, iodine drops, and filter that water. But at the very least, you know that you can use it to bathe. And for most days, you're talking about between 70 to 90% humidity. Like today, 94% humidity. 94% humidity. You see what I'm saying? You can literally snatch water out of the air. You see what I'm saying? But this, what they teach you to build is it'll have a filter attached to it so that it's, it's drinkable water. Okay, right out of the gate, 50 to 100 gallons of water able to supply your family. That's what you need to have available to you. That right there provides you water security. It's called the Water Freedom System. And like I said, since it's an ebook, make sure that once you download it, you get a pen and a pad, not a pencil and a pad, but a pen, because it's more permanent. Write down those key things if you can't, if you have trouble committing these things to memory, until you can commit them to memory, just in case something happens to your primary source, right? And the way that you also plan for that is to make sure that you buy you a solar power generator. Like, they have some very small ones that are inexpensive, about $100 to $200, and obviously the price goes up for the more power that you require, or the more power you need for whatever task that you have, or for whatever energy task that you find yourself confronted with. But the fact of the matter is that get you one. Look at the reviews. Some of them got 5 stars. Read those reviews, because that'll help you to make the best decision possible. But I have a couple myself, and the thing is, that's from your radios, your walkie, that you need to charge up, and then you can get one big enough to run those, a dehumidifier. And then buy your solar panels, because the solar panels, some of them don't come with solar panels. The vast majority of them don't. And so this is what you're talking about. And that also goes back to, remember we were talking about color, why black is not a color, and we said in physics, because what? Black draws in energy, and you use that blackness to create electricity. This is why, again, like I said before, black is not a color. We're not talking about societal, from a societal sense. We're talking about it from the metaphysical. Black draws in energy, and you can convert it to electricity. That's what's so fantastic about being this enigmatic and special cosmic force that we find ourselves gifted with since since we were born. But this is the thing. We have to understand that We need these materials around us in adverse situations in times like these. And that's one of the #1 books that you want to have available to you is the Water Freedom System. The second book that you want to have available in your library is called the Book of Remedies. The Book of Remedies. I mean, it details all the plants around you that are suitable for eating, for medicinal use. You know, you want to have that, you know, around you. And then if you're a nature lover, a lot of that information to be easy to retain. You know, so you want that book in your library. That's a very special book to have in your library. It's called the Book of Remedies. Because remember, like we said, and then, you know, a lot of, you know, individuals that I listen to have echoed the same sentiment that, you know, you have a people who have specialized in reverse engineering nature's technology, but some, a very small percentage of them, actually respect and admire, you know, nature's technology and use it for what it was intended for without adulterating it. Okay, and so that's the knowledge that you want to, you know, have access to, and the Book of Remedies does that. It does that for you. So you know, and allows you to have access to that arcane knowledge. And before I get off into the third book, which is very special to me and you must have in your library, we're going to read a couple articles. We're going to get into it. Please stay with me to the end, because this is, and I need you guys to share this. This is what, you know, a lot of people ask, how can they support the F.O.F squad? What can you do? Because, you know, I don't ask for money. I don't say hit the Cash App. I don't say smash up the likes. But this is when I really need y'all. I need y'all to get out. This third book is really what I need y'all. I need y'all help on this one. Okay? And it's going to be very important for you to have in you know, a part of your library anyways. Very important for you to have a part of your library. Now, remember what we talked about? We just want to touch on just a little bit when I was telling you how they are the ones, you know, and this is why we have to, you know, make sure that we have access to these things, because they are the ones bringing about this demise of their own system that they put together, which it was inevitable because the system was designed for failure anyways. When you have an over-reliance on non-renewable resources, I mean, what else did you expect? But how they're shifting the blame, I mean, and how people are, you know, chalking it up to, oh, well, yeah, now nature is just spun out of control. No, nature is always just like the human body. Whatever happens, like if you get a cut or bleed, you know, you get a cut or something goes wrong, the body's going to instantly try to repair that. The same thing with Mother Earth. I mean, you come from the earth, so you know that any damage that was done, the earth is trying to repair, but they're not allowing that to happen. And let me give you a few instances as to why we have to be careful. And you know, and not buy into the narrative like, you know, the earth is just it's beyond you know, help or beyond repair. No, the earth is not at the point of no return, but they want to encourage you to believe that, and they're doing everything in their power to make that a reality. Now, these are the two. This is one of the articles that I wanted to read to you. It's from Oil Price. It was published on August 2nd, 2021. The title of it is Top 5% Polluting Power Plants Account for 73% of Global Emissions. All right, just walk with me. We're going to get through this real quick because, you know, like I said, I'm going to get to, you know, exactly what I want you guys to hone in on. Just 5% of the world's power plants account for nearly 3/4 of global carbon emissions from electricity generation, a recent study showed. A team from the University of Colorado Boulder, led by Don Grant, professor of sociology and fellow of the Renewable and Sustainable Energy Institute at the University of Colorado Boulder, analyzed the emission profiles of 29,078 fossil fuel power plants from 221 countries and found which ones were the super polluters. Unsurprisingly, the most polluting power plants turned out to be all coal-fired plants, which operated inefficiently for the amount of energy they produced. The top 10 most polluting plants were in Poland, India, South Korea, Taiwan, China, Germany, and Japan, according to the research published in Environmental Research Letters. South Korea has 3 coal-fired power plants among the top 10 super polluters. India has 2, and the other countries mentioned above have 1 each. So we're going to go further down. It says, according to the authors of the research, the emission intensity of the 10 worst plants exceeded those of other fossil fuel power plants in their home countries. In 2018, at a rate 28.2% to 75.6% higher than their counterparts. So these companies, these foreign companies that established themselves in these countries that we're talking about, South Korea and all of this different stuff, and we know who these multinational corporations are. They're polluting more than the countries than the plants that have been built in those countries. So you come to my country, it's just like if Russia was to put a power plant here and they pollute more than the ones that we build. That would be insane. That would be insane. And we already know who has diplomatic ties with South Korea. Come on now. So The article goes on further to say, the study examined how global emissions from electricity generation could be reduced if the super polluters were to cut their emissions. If the top 5% of polluters lowered their emission intensity to the global average for fossil fuel plants, the world's CO2 emissions could drop by 25%, the study found. They're creating this instability. Remember I told you before, even when, like I said, I see these YouTubers all the time, they forget, never lose sight of the point that they're creating this instability, that this is planned. You call it planned, and so why do you veer off? You know, when we see the border crisis, we was like, oh, well, yeah, you know, they're bringing criminals across the border and stuff like, who made the criminals? I'm glad you asked. Let's read this article right quick. Published from Reuters yesterday. Mexico sues U.S.-based gun makers seeking $10 billion in damages over illegal arms trafficking. Okay, let's read right quick. Mexico is suing multiple major U.S. gun makers, accusing them of negligent business practices that allegedly spawned illegal arms flows over the border, resulting in rampant violence and numerous Mexican deaths. The landmark lawsuit was brought before the U.S. District Court for the District of Massachusetts on Wednesday. The suit alleges that units of top U.S. gun makers, including Colt, Smith & Wesson, Barrett, Glock, and Ruger, indulged in negligent business practices and knew their activities produced illegal arms trafficking in Mexico. The companies named in the lawsuit produce around 2/3 of some 500,000 weapons illegally brought into the country each year, according to Mexican authorities. Okay? So you have to understand that with that much power and them and them pushing these guns, and more than likely, they don't even give a fuck if somebody's paying for the weapons. They're just pushing it, putting it in their hands, and you're like, oh, you see all these, the gun violence, how it soars in places like New York City. You thought they're not operating domestically? You think they're not operating domestically? And we keep wondering. Remember, this is a war against the people. They only talk about gun violence, or a gun issue. Remember when I said when it's in the hands of the people. But then yet when you hear, guns being involved in police shootings, then it's not about the guns. It's about you can reform that individual, or you can reform that institution. Okay, war on the people, plain and simple. They're the ones trafficking the guns. You keep looking for some arms dealer in the hood, and it's your top 500 companies running and pushing these weapons into your neighborhoods and all across the globe, causing the instability. That's what we have to keep mindful of. And we don't. See, we want to think that it's some big bad boogeyman that, the CIA and the FBI is searching out and trying to apprehend. No, they're the ones pushing them. They're the ones pushing the drugs. They're the ones selling the weapons. Okay? And we have to know it. Do we have to look at animals? Animals, then they always say, when you can see people pushing an agenda, or when you can see some calamity about to, not see people pushing an agenda, but when you see calamity about to strike, or that there's something bad about to happen, or there's some bad energy coming from a particular group of people or a person, don't you know that animals can sniff that shit out? And we've been seeing that there's other agendas going on. You see all of this controversy like with the baby and all of that different stuff. And then how they were talking about what? They said, oh, well, yeah, he made that comment. First of all, that comes from the confusion. That comes from what? The medical community. Remember when AIDS first came out? Man, we've already discussed this on the channel before. The medical community called it what? GRID, gay-related infectious disease. That's what they called it. They called it a gay disease. Then they switched it up because then a hemophiliac had happened to get it during a blood transfusion. Then all they said, oh, well, heterosexuals can get it based off of a blood transfusion. So all this mix-up, all this mash-up, all this confusion, all this ambiguity comes about from the medical community. We see that now with the beer virus. You see what I'm saying? So we got to understand they purposely cause this confusion. And now all of a sudden they want to blame somebody for being confused? But see, look at these animals. They knew about this agenda. They knew about it. Now, 1976 Copyright Act, allowances for fair use is for purposes of commentary, criticism, education, scholarship, news reporting. But overall here at the F.O.F squad, waking your ass up. All right? So let's get to it. We're going to show you that animals can sniff these agendas out better than we can. And then we're going to get into that third book that you guys are going to need to have. Let's get it. He's trying to push the horse through the game. He couldn't force that horse to walk over that motherfucker. Now, this is what I'm saying, man. We got to be more mindful of these things. It shouldn't take us a horse to see what the agenda is. Now, this is what I want to say. And everybody always asks, part of this platform, what can they do? Remember, I'm not one to always say smash up the likes. I'm not one to say, look, hit that Cash App and all of this different stuff. I'm not one of them hustlers. I always try to give you something, and I guarantee this third book, this is what's going to help us maintain our dominance here. The first one to the mind is the winner. And this book is called The Untold Story of the Carbon Baby. And I'm pretty sure you might know who this author is. Yep. His name is HERU HAINUS, and this book is now available on Amazon right now. Right now, it will get to you by Tuesday the 10th if you order this book right now. So it's done. I told you your boy play no games. The Untold Story of the Carbon Baby by HERU HAINUS. You can type in my name, HERU HAINUS. The Untold Story of the Carbon Baby is out. It's a phenomenal read. I put a lot into this. Y'all know I work tirelessly on this project. I would stay up often from 7 to 8 in the morning, would get 2 or 3 hours of sleep, wake back up, do the same thing again. I wanted to change the world with this book. And I guarantee you, see, my goal is if we can get this, just 5,000 copies sold. If we can get 5,000 copies sold, I got another plan that I'm about to institute that obviously, I'm not going to say because all great minds think alike. I guarantee you will help me change the world. I guarantee it. All these other cats been taking millions of dollars for you, talking about building museums and talking about building schools. I'm finna show you what you do to change the world. Give me one chance, people. I'm telling my people, give me one chance. Then you get a book that opens up the arcane knowledge that's been hidden from you. You get a book that exposes the elite. You get a book that's going to open you up to a new realm of possibilities, which inevitably will lead to that individual who gave you that energy to changing the world. Help me, brothers and sisters, to do this. This is all I'm asking. Get it out to everybody who you can. Tell them to purchase the book. Let's go on the storm with this. Let's break the doors down with this. The Untold Story of the Carbon Baby. F.O.F. Squad.